Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going over this pistol that you see in my hands that you saw throughout the intro. This is the Zastava USA EZ9 pistol. So over the years there's been versions of this gun that have come in under several different names out there, and probably you guys are familiar with the CZ99. I did a review of that for those of you guys who watched that a few years ago. Also the CZ999, and then Israel actually licensed a clone of this as well. So you've seen pistols that look like this all over the place. And speaking of looking like this, I'm sure there's a lot of folks that are saying down below already in the comments section it's just a knockoff Sig P226. Well, it's really not, in my opinion. We will do a comparison though here towards the end of the video because I know folks will want to know. But in my opinion, it's sort of a hybrid of a 226 meets a P88, and that's what we came out with here with this pistol. So I suppose we'll just start going through it here piece by piece. Start here at the base and sort of work our way up for some semblance of order. And the magazines, and I should note the magazine release there is ambidextrous. Everything, all the controls on the gun are ambidextrous. The one exception to that will be our actual takedown lever there, which we'll get to here a little bit later on. So the mags on this particular gun are 15 round. It does come with two magazines. Again, 15 rounders if you live in a free state. If you don't, they do have 10 rounders out there that are available. The mags are made by Metgar. I'm not sure if that's public, but I can tell you I've been looking at these mags a long time. They're made by Metgar. And if you look at some of the other similar sized pistol mags that are out there, and I'm sure some of you guys already know this, but many of you may not, like this is a Sig P226 magazine, 15 rounder as well. They're almost identical. The bodies are identical pretty much in terms of the metal portions. The followers are a touch different. The springs are a touch different. However, in terms of geometry, they are the same, as are the magazines from like the Canik TP9 series, as are the magazines from the Beretta 92 series. So why do I mention that? I mention it because the big difference is how it locks up in the gun. It has this unique sort of cut here on the center, whereas 226 mags, for example, have cuts there on the side for ambidextrous mag release. The 92 is going to have a notch. They're all a little bit different, but the bodies are the same. And the cool thing about this is that, number one, you can buy aftermarket mags for them. There's plenty of them out there. They're going to be anywhere from like $20 to $30. We'll drop a link down below if you guys are looking to get the actual factory mags. But you can take surplus mags, or if you already have like a 226, you can actually just cut it and cut the actual portion here where the mag release locks up into it, and it will function in there. It'll function just fine. It will lock the slide back, all of those sorts of things. I actually modified two Canik mags to work, and some of you guys may have already caught that in the intro. Noticed something a little bit different going on there, and they work just fine. So that is good news there in terms of mag availability. The grips on the pistol are nice. They're checkered polymer. They do give you a good sort of grippy surface on there. They're not so aggressive. They're going to rub you if you guys want to carry this inside the waistband. However, again, not compatible with 226 grips because our controls here are ambidextrous. On the back strap and the front strap, it has something that annoys me, and I've said it in many videos, but we do have serrations there, but they're vertical serrations, right? So we think about how the gun's going to recoil while we're shooting it, it's going to go like this, right? So those serrations there that are vertical do almost nothing to increase our control on the pistol, particularly when our hands are sweaty, wet, bloody, whatever the case may be. Checkering would be my preference. However, if you're not going to checker it, Zastava USA, if you guys are watching this video, I definitely recommend going with horizontal lines, because that way it at least gives you some sort of resistance under the recoil impulse process. Continuing on up, the hammer on the EZ9 is a little bit different than some of the other offerings that it's come in under. Typically the other ones will have a spur hammer. This one of course does not, but it still has good knurling on there. If you want to thumb cock it for whatever reason, you certainly can. Continuing forward, we have our slide lock, slide release levers, and these are very cool. I actually like the function of them. So of course you can push up on them just like I did there to lock the slide to the rear. However, when you actually hit them right now, the first time you hit it, it will simply send the slide home. It will not decock the pistol. You can't push it extra hard or something like that for it to decock the pistol. So the way it's going to look is I'm going to hit the decocker, it goes home. Now you'll notice that the hammer is still back. At that point, you can hit either one of them, either side, and that will decock the pistol. So I do like that design. For folks who, and I know this is very common, so for folks who shoot the 226 or 229 series of pistols from Sig, and if you get false slide lock, or if you get the slide not locking back on the last round. Either one of those, both those are common. I've never had that on any of the EZ9 or CZ99 pistols, so for folks like myself, that's a huge advantage right there. Continuing forward, like I said, we do have that takedown lever. We'll get to that during disassembly. Verify again that we are clear. Discuss the trigger. So it is a double action, single action gun. It is not meant to be cocked and locked. This is not a safety. So it's designed so that the first trigger pull will be double action. So let's walk through it here. Right at the beginning, you do have a good bit of take up. There's resistance, there's no slop, there's no play, and the trigger itself stacks until right about there. At this point, you've probably moved a couple of millimeters, and then the resistance gets to what essentially is going to be the breaking weight of it, and you just roll through. At the end on my trigger pull gauge, it broke right at 11 pounds consistently on that. Again, you roll up a little bit, and then at this point, we're at full weight, 11 pounds to press through. It's not bad. For a factory trigger that hasn't been honed or worked on, it's perfectly fine, it's perfectly shootable. There's no issues there. Now in single action mode, it has a long reset, as you guys probably just saw there, and then you have some slop going on, right? So compared to a lot of the modern guns out there, modern designs, you're gonna have a little bit more slop than you're used to, but again, if you're comparing it to like a stock 226 without any of their newer triggers, pretty similar in that regard. And the break in single action is very crisp, and it is right at 6 pounds, a little bit heavier than some of the other competitive options out there, but I think a lot of folks will be just fine with it. There's no issues in terms of practical accuracy with this pistol, in my opinion. The trigger guard has a little bit of serrations up front if you want to push it into a barricade or something like that. I know there's folks that still like to do that, and I know there's folks that still like to put their finger out front. That's you, cool. The actual rail up front is 1913, at least in terms of the attachments that you're going to use. However, just like many of the Sig pistols out there, if I can grab one here, we'll grab my Legion. Just like many of the Sig pistols out there, it has a weird rounded effect to it. The only Sigs that I'm aware of that don't have that are the Mark 25 series that have actual 1913 spec rails. Now, the only light that I found that to be a problem with is the O-Light series. So the O-Light PL series, it simply won't attach there for whatever reason, but the Stream Lights will, your Surefires will, the Enforce will, etc. So there's only one exception in terms of light attachments that I know of, and that is it. Continuing out forward, you guys will see the slide does come forward a little bit of the dust cover, which a lot of folks like. I don't have a problem with it either way. Moving on up to the slide, this particular slide has the blued finish on there. However, they do offer this pistol with a chrome finish slide for those of you guys that dig it, but it definitely shows wear, as you would expect with a classically blued pistol. And this gun's been in and out of a holster many times. It's starting to show some scratches, nicks, stuff like that, but that's what happens when you actually use guns like we do here, and before we bring them to you, rather. Back here on the sights, pretty plain Jane. They are steel sights, which is nice. So we have 3-dot there on the rear with the U-notch, and then square notch rather, and then we have a plain white dot up front. There are aftermarket sights available for these if you guys want to throw them on there. They're out there. You can find them. The same is true for grips. I didn't mention that earlier. But again, plain sights, they work if you need to do one-handed manipulations, those sorts of things. It's not really an issue. Again, for disassembly now, we'll press up there on our slide lock and takedown lever, and we're just going to rotate the takedown lever down. However, one thing I found is that if you don't actually kind of hold the takedown lever in place, it will want to sort of spring back, and then we're just going to release the slide. Again, holding the takedown lever, slide will come off. And a couple things you'll note here. We do have a steel guide rod. A lot of folks do like that. And it also has the braided recoil spring. That's something that a lot of gun companies kind of feature as a premium feature. Those come with that. They tend to last longer for folks who don't know. And our barrel here, cold hammer forged, you guys can see in terms of fit, finish, all that stuff, it's flawless in that regard. It has nice wide feed ramps there, 2 feed hull points. We fed this gun Hornady, the XTPs, 115 grainers, as well as some 147 grain HSTs, and it ran everything flawless. Of course, the majority of what we put through it was Minuteman munitions, their blue case stuff, and again, like I just said, it was flawless. This gun's got about 700 rounds through it at this point. and have had no issues at all. You guys can get a look there on the inside of the slide. If you're looking for machine marks, those sorts of things, you can see them a little bit in there on the inside. On the outside, you don't see any, of course. And then again, here on the inside of the frame, pretty clean looking overall. Nothing really to report on significant anyway there. Now we're going to get into the part that many of you guys have probably been waiting for. The big difference right off the bat from a user interface standpoint between the two pistols is number one, the ambidextrous slide lock, slide release, but the fact that the slide lock and slide release on this pistol is 1 unit versus 2 there on the Sig. So for the Sig, for those that don't know, the button here at the rear, this is our slide lock, slide release lever, and then this is our decocker. And that's essentially a huge difference. And again, from a function standpoint, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of folks will have issues hitting this with a modern sort of high grip on there, myself included. So at this point, again, if I hit the decocker, it doesn't do anything. If you hit the slide release, you do that, and then you have to separately hit the decocker. So big difference there. And again, it's not ambidextrous. The grips feel very similar in terms of like how they feel in your hand. I don't think a lot of folks are going to have a hard time with either in terms of grip comfort. The one thing I would say about both these pistols is that because it's designed to start out in double action and it is a full-size frame, folks who have really small hands may have a hard time leveraging the trigger at full extension. I have pretty big hands, so it's not really an issue for me, but it's just something to point out for folks there who do have smaller hands. The sight's not interchangeable on the guns at all. The trigger guard, you guys can see there, it's a very different profile. The same is true for the modern 226s out there. Our hammer, different as well. We have the spur hammer there on the 226, and internally they're quite different as well. We'll sort of roll in some photos of the slide, but big difference internally is going to be the way that our extractor is. It has the Sig has what we would think of as kind of like a more modern extractor, where it's an actual piece that you put in there and it's held in place with a pin, whereas on the Zastava here, it's a long old school extractor that you can't actually even see from the exterior of the pistol. This one though, of course, has a loaded chamber indicator like I mentioned, whereas the 226 does not. The 226, modern 226, has a ton of different trigger options out there. Of course, the Zastava does not. However, there actually are a bunch of tutorials out there online of folks about like tuning up the trigger on this. If you guys want to get into that sort of stuff, it is out there because, like I said, these guns have been coming in one form or the other over the years in pretty good numbers into America. So there's a lot of them out there. Another thing I should mention on the comparison of the two that a lot of people think is that this will just automatically fit the holsters for 226s. In my experience, I have a bunch of holsters for 226s. Some do, some don't. So that's just kind of something to keep in mind. Like, don't count on it automatically fitting. The big reason for that, again, is going to be this piece right here on the right side of the EZ9. It'll interfere with a lot, particularly of Kydex holsters. So one of mine did fit. It was from RKBA holsters, which I don't even think they still make Kydex holsters. They may though, but anyway, that's what I was using throughout the review. If you guys saw it on my hip, and it did fit just for what it's worth, but again, just don't count on it because that's not always the case. Before we close the video out, there's just a couple other things I wanted to mention. We already mentioned reliability. For me, that's paramount. 100% reliable. Double action, single action trigger, good to go. No issues there. Grip, all that stuff, good. The barrel shoots plenty accurate. I did not bench it. However, from previous guns that have come out of the Zastava factory in this very configuration, I have benched them. They're very accurate. This one, practically accurate speaking, was fine. I had a 35 meter 11 by 8 inch target, and I was able to ring it regularly with just ball ammo. So it can do the job. I'm sure it can shoot tighter groups than I can as well. Price point wise, these ones are not super inexpensive. It just kind of depends how you're looking at the market. So the Zastava USA ones, now that they're bringing them in, that's what we're talking about here. These ones, if you look around online, basically they're going to run you in the $550 to over $600 depending on the finish that you go with and those sorts of things. So not inexpensive, but I would say it is a quality pistol. Again, while the the Zastava USA version is new with the new importer, these guns have been around a while. They have a long track record. If you look around the internet for reviews of this EZ9 and the other ones that have come out of the same Zastava factory, you'll see pretty much everyone's happy with them, and I would put myself in that group as well. I like the pistol. I had no issues carrying it in terms of confidence with it that it would work. It did work all the time. It's very simple to maintain. If you want, you know, an all metal gun, and I should mention that it does have an aluminum frame and a steel slide. If you want an all metal gun, you don't mind the weight, you want the sort of feel of just like a tank, a gun that's built like a tank, this one certainly would fit the bill. And again, if you like the way Sigs shoot and that sort of thing, but you get the slide lock, definitely a good alternative in my opinion, and they're definitely cheaper than the 226s that you guys are going to find out there. If you have any questions about the pistol that I didn't answer in this video, by all means, let me know down below in the comments section. However, if you actually need an answer to your question, the best place to reach me is over at my Facebook page. I do see all the messages that I get over there, so just shoot me a message and I'll get back to you. Sometimes it takes me a couple days, but I do get back to everyone over there in due time. That's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you're not subscribed here, please go ahead and do that. Please hit the notification bell as well. That's not just a generic thing that YouTubers say in all your videos that you're watching. These days, for whatever reason, YouTube's not even showing a lot of my videos to my subscribers, so doing that is kind of the bare minimum. You can also sign up for my email list. I send one email out a week at most, and it just has all my videos of the week. So make sure that you have direct access to the products that I'm putting out, and there's no social media giant between us censoring what you see. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.